Hello, hello. I'm in my garden now, and there is a rose coming out, a white rose. I don't know if the camera can see this, but it is amazing. The white rose is unfolding. Nice. And if we didn't have the cage around it, the deer would eat the rosebud right away. They love roses. That's like the best candy in the world for them. They love, love, love the baby deer. They're so sweet the way they look at the roses. They're like, oh, can I have those? That's how they looked at me once. They came over, the whole family. And that was before we had the cage and there was a bud growing. And they came over and they had exactly that question directed at me. Like, can we have that rosebud? But only one of them could have that rosebud. Only one. And then after I left, one of them took the rosebud. Oh, that must have tasted so good. And we were like, okay, so if we want to have roses, we have to put a cage around those. That's what we have to do. We have to do the same with the avocado tree over there at the other end of the parking lot. So anyway, I have a spray here that is originally has natural and perfume oil. So it has natural carrier oil and a synthetic fragrance, and then I added some other fragrances and other natural stuff to it, so I mixed this all up. That's a big jumbo now, and I want to use this as a foot massage oil. And I also want to see, because the mosquitoes are coming out, I want to see if this will also work. There's already one. Yes, let's go. Yes, I can hear you. Yes, and it wants to put the needle into my skin, and I don't want that. So I'm gonna spray myself with this and see if this works. And I'm gonna put this on my shoe and spray myself with this. It's real nice spray, and see if this works. This also had a little bit of the perfume oil version from Versace in it. Versace Bright Crystal Absolute. It smells very, very good. I mix that in. Put a little bit chocolate essential oil, not chocolate, fragrance oil in it. And I put a little bit bubblegum fragrance oil in it, so it's all mixed up together. So it smells really nice. So let's see if this works. Seems to be working. I need another one for our travels, because I know that there's going to be a lot of mosquitoes. And I remember when we went to Ojai, California, to the Matilaha Canyon, there were a lot of frogs, and it was a frog concert. It was so nice at the hot springs. And so Paul said when he hears all these frogs, that is his association with mosquitoes. And the frogs, they eat the mosquitoes. I don't know if this shows very well. I probably have to turn it around. I don't know if this shows very good. this is nice to give me, and a motivation to come out here into the garden and giving myself a foot massage like this, which I would normally not do if I just came out here by myself, but I took the tablet with me, and my friends, my cyber friends, with me into my garden, and then it feels like it feels like that there's a motivation to do this foot massaging, which, it's very good to do. I recommend that to people to do that for themselves. And if you feel like that's not enough of an incentive to do this just for yourself, then take a tablet and film it, film that event and talk a little bit about your life. I wish people would do this. I wish so much that people would talk about their life, their romance, their problems, particularly the problems. But you know what? Nobody wants to talk about their problems. Almost nobody. Very few people talk about their problems. Most people show themselves in a very, very facade type of way, very, very fake facade, very superficial. That's how most videos are. It's out of fear. I'm not gonna be insinuating into them and saying, oh, because they're terrible narcissists or something. We're all narcissists, first of all of us. Some are nicer narcissists, some are mean narcissists, okay? Many different types of narcissism. Narcissism, when it can become very pathological. That's because people are running away from their pain. That's why. So when people are superficial, it's because they're afraid. That's what it really is all about. So I just made the video. That was the first video in this series. No, that was the second one. The first one I made yesterday on clay and putty videos. So then I made one just a little while ago, about 20 minutes ago. I made a video on clay and putty videos, making a horse. I made a horse sculpture with my clay from the Dollar Tree store, a light blue horse sculpture, but just like the chest, the face and the neck, not the chest, but really the face and the neck, and in abstract form, as I always do. And I talked about, in the video yesterday and in the video today on clay and putty videos, I talked about what the horses taught me and what Dr. Marlo Morgan, a physician from the United States, taught me. In her book, she wrote a book about her experiences when she went to Australia and visited with the very last tribe of medicine people, of the real traditional Aborigines medicine people, the energy healers, the botanists, the ones that are very, very, very intimately knowledgeable about the flora and fauna of the desert in Australia, and the ones that are following really literally into the footsteps of their ancestors they would on a regular basis get fed up with the city, and they're much more in the now moment, and they really value this also in a very conscious way. It's not just something that they have been taught, but they have learned this with utmost attention and with presence and with a knowing, with a bottom-up processing of learning. So they have seen now the difference between the city life and the desert life in nature. So the people in the past, way in the past, they didn't have a comparison. They were always living in nature. But today, of course, in Australia, they have all these large cities all the way around the continent on the coast, because that's where the climate is manageable. So when they go out into the desert, like what we do when we go to Death Valley here, it can get very inhospitable, and I guess it can get the climates can go very high and very low in the desert. That's always the case. So the ocean makes the climate very, very manageable. It raises up the temperature in the winter and it lowers the temperature in the summer. So because of the water molecules in the air that function like a heater or a swamp cooler. So they call it the maritime climate. That's where we're at right now here. That's why I had to put these pants on, because earlier I was sitting on the couch in my boxer shorts. So, but now it already got a little bit chilly, and it's only like 6 o'clock. So that's because of the maritime climate, and I think, I have the feeling it works, that my sunscreen is working. I mean, my mosquito screen is working. That's very nice. That's wonderful. Yes, they're not good. They're not going. They don't like it. I like this. This is awesome. Cool. And it smells good too. And it's easy to manage in these spray bottles. So it's awesome. Very nice. So what Dr. Marlo Morgan, what she taught me such a vital message. And the message is to tune yourself in to 100% presence, attunement, and unconditional love. And that's what the Buddha taught. That is actually what the Buddha taught. And people have tried to understand this. They have tried to practice this, in meditation and all kinds of things. But when things get rocky, they kind of lose their attunement. And it happens very, very easily when things get rocky and we get stressed out and we see injustice happen. Then, like right now with the riots that are going on, and there's so much injustice going on, it's unreal. It's literally unreal, So the news, the injustice of the news broadcasts, the fakeness of it, the lies, the slander, that's what gets me. That's what gets me going the most. The slander of innocent people. slandering Donald Trump since, I don't know, for years, but now they really stepped it up. And all he's trying to do is trying to make things, trying to find the best possible solutions for all the situations, and which he always manages to do, because he has much experience in management and in resources and in economy and business and also psychology, not just in terms of, like all these, like most business people, they use psychology for their own advantage. That's what the corporate agenda is doing right now with Black Lives Matter and Antifa. So I don't know how to pronounce this. Antifa, I call it. Donald Trump says Antifa. So that's what they're doing. That's what this is all about. It's to take advantage of people. Donald Trump thinks in terms of how to find the best possible solution to make everyone happy, to find a way to manage and to solve any kind of existing problems that are there, and to make things better for the whole world, for everyone involved, for every being, not just in terms of appeasing someone, but in terms of, if someone brings him a deep concern, for example, with the animal rights bill that they have tried for decades. They have tried to get politicians to sign, and they wouldn't do it. George W. Bush and Barack Obama never signed something like this. They were 100% corporate. Donald Trump signed it because he thinks in terms of making it better for all beings, not just for the corporate people who are trying to get an advantage over other people, over other business people. So he wants to make it good for all of us and really solve the problems. But of course the corporate agenda, with most people, as Rockefeller said, he said every man has his price, meaning every man, interesting, he said also every man. He didn't incorporate the women into it. At that time there weren't that many business women, but every person, almost every person has their price, so it's like, if a corrupt person is offered, let's say, just to use this example, they're offered to, if they out tricked someone in a casino or something, if they, I don't know, it's a bad example, but they're offered $100,000 to beat someone up behind the casino for winning money, and then taking the money back from that person or whatever. I don't know. That's how corrupt people are. So, and the person will say, well, that I would need a little bit more to do that, right? But he'll still do it, but he'll take $1 million to do that. So that's what he means. Every person has their price. If they just offer enough money, because I'm explaining this in detail because I know that some people might not know that much about the corruptibility of humans. I know there are some very naive people out there in the world. That's why I'm explaining this. Particularly in Sweden and Germany, there are some very, very naive people that believe anything they're being told by their religion, by their parents, fairy tale books, literally, the news, that will tell you adult fairy tales, and they believe everything they're being told. So, because the corporate agenda has that leverage to tell people whatever they want them to believe. So, no, the reality about humans is much harsher than that. Okay. Most humans, I'm not saying everyone, but most humans are extremely, extremely corrupt. So there are people that kill for $1. Those people exist. And there are people that kill for $50,000. There are people that kill for $1 million or more. But they have their price tag. So, but they do it. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what scares me. So that they will do something like this if they just get paid enough. That's what's very unsettling and very disturbing, to know that people will eventually do something horrible if they just get paid enough money. And it's not just murder, it's also creating a riot, like with the Black Lives Matter and Antifa. The whole thing is set up, it's instigated by the corporate agenda to create chaos, so that their goal is to discourage people from voting for Donald Trump, because they studied this in the past, that if there's any problem going on, like a virus or a riot or civil unrest, that the public will then come very easily to this conclusion, so it must be the president's fault, right? It's not the president's fault, not in this case, definitely not in this case. So this president, we should be so infinitely grateful to have this amazing man in office with such an high IQ, like it's the IQ's off the charts, okay? I don't know, 200, 300, maybe more, okay? And it's amazing what stamina this man has, what power, what mental clarity and calmness and peace and kindness and fairness, and then people will slander him with unimaginable lies and turn everything completely upside down and inside out, completely reverse everything, reverse the truth. They tell people total lies about Donald Trump, about Ellen DeGeneres. They have been slandering Ellen DeGeneres now, I don't know, for 3 months or something. That's what it looks like. And I look at all of these things, of course, I look at it with a very critical eye. I'm not gonna just be swept up by some kind of crazy fad or some kind of Karen hating fad or some kind of celebrity slander fad or whatever. They're telling lies, real horrible lies about Ellen DeGeneres. And they did that with Hillary Clinton. They did that with Hillary Clinton for many, many years. And the reason why is because the corporate agenda was terrified of Hillary Clinton winning. The reason why they were terrified, for the same reason as they are terrified of Donald Trump, is because because they were afraid Hillary Clinton will go green and take the corruption away from the corporate agenda and the oil industry. So that's the same fear again, that they have about Donald Trump. So that's, you don't hear about Hillary Clinton right now. So the focus is all now on Donald Trump and now also on Ellen DeGeneres, and I wonder why. What's going on? What kind of threat comes from Ellen DeGeneres in terms of, what is because she's promoting animal rights? Is that a threat to the fur industry and the meat industry? Is that what it is? I don't know. So is that a threat to animal exploitation? So you always have to think. You have to look a little further into backstage what's going on before you come to some quick conclusion about things. Things are much, much more convoluted and twisted. And that's the truth. So, but what Dr. Marlo Morgan taught me is that what the Aborigines people taught her, and that's what she is teaching me and what she's teaching all of us in her amazing book about her journey with the Aborigines people. What they taught her is that the Aborigines people, when they were hunted by the white settlers in the 1800s, they knew how to make themselves invisible. And it's not in a literal way, but almost, it's in an energetic way. You can tune yourself into a frequency that is unconditional love, but in a very, very, very mindful and a very focused way. And you stand there with your hands out like this, palms out. That's the sign of friendship and vulnerability. I show you my belly, my hand belly, basically. And with a mind state of unconditional love for the opponent, for any living being. So that's basically what Jesus Christ taught when he said, love your enemy. That is what he taught. That exact thing. And this has been understood by many different people around the globe without even knowing that the other people on the other side of the planet knew or figured that out as well. So Jesus Christ learned this from Buddhist monks. He incorporated it in a bottom-up processing. He really understood what they're talking about. He put it into action. Okay, that's why he became so famous in the Middle East, because in the Middle East it was something totally unheard of, in particular 2,000 years ago. So now we have different types of broadcasting and communication, and these different types of practices and yoga and kundalini and mindfulness that comes around the whole planet. But in the Middle East they try to censor that out because they don't want people to learn that. So, but at that time in the Middle East, it was like, in the Jerusalem area and Palestine, those people, they were constantly at war with each other. It's been going on for like thousands of years, and people want to perpetuate it. They want to perpetuate it because that is the only thing that's probably that it's the only thing that makes them feel alive, because if they don't do it, what happens? If we don't give in to our anger, what happens then? And I tell you, I have been practicing this lately. I know it is very, very, very tricky. I'm not going to say difficult. It's not difficult. It's tricky because our minds are so locked in to a specific frequency, like hate. Hate is like a magnetism. It draws you in, and your ego loves it. Your ego wants to give into it because it, like Judy Krishnamurti said, makes you feel alive. It makes you feel like you feel yourself. I'm angry, therefore I am. Kind of like that. And it's like it's dualism, it's conflict, it feels alive. and it's addictive, and I guess it creates endorphins and stuff like that, so tricky, like a drug, so, but I tell you, it is very easy. It's actually very easy to say no to it, to that drug called anger and hate. I have practiced it. I practiced it again today. I cried a lot, many tears, but once you cry, you are no longer in the anger. Can you see this? The moment you cry, it's flowing. Anger is a resistance state, okay? When you are in anger, you are in resistance to that other person. It's very easy to do, but we need to out-trick ourselves, and we need to say, I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to sit down instead in meditation, and I'm not going to fight the anger. Then I'll be in resistance to the resistance, as Adi Shanti was talking about, that we need to pay very close attention not to go into resistance to the resistance. Allow what is there. Okay, you are in resistance, you acknowledge it. I am in a state of resistance, I'm in a state of rage, and I'm in a state of anger, okay? And I'm not going to judge myself for it. This is what we all have going, It's okay to feel that way. What it's not okay is to let it out on another living being. It's not okay to let it out on an animal, child, or adult. So that's not okay. So what they're doing, the Black Lives Matter people, they're giving into their anger. They let the corporate agenda, George Soros or whoever is behind this, the corporate middleman, the psychologists, the market psychologists, the agitators, they let them rally, and more than rally, they let them inflame them against white people in this case. So, and there are there are many different white people, right? As there are many different of every group of people. There are some of them are mean, some of them are cunning, some of them are innocent, and so they will just go for any one of this particular demographic. Okay, that's what they did with the Jewish people during Nazi Germany. They want to repeat history again. They want to become Nazis again with their own label. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter Nazis. Okay? Black Lives Matter Gestapo coming for any innocent being out there. That's what they want to do. Okay? We have the choice to not do it. You have the choice to not do it, to not give in to this, to not let them incinerate you and play with your already existing hatred and whatever, caused that hatred. Some other people that have told you to hate this particular group of people. So say no to it. If everyone says no to it, if no one goes to war, there is no more war. Okay, the hippies used to always talk about this in the 70s. And then somehow the corporate agenda got a hold of, the corporate agenda are really behind. I see this now real clearly. They're really behind the dirty 80s. I see the whole thing now. I was young during the 80s, so that was my heyday of partying, during the 80s. And I wished I had not done it. I wished I had not been partying during the 80s. But when I was 20, I was really stupid and naive. I didn't know anything. Didn't know any of the stuff that I know today. I didn't know that corporate agenda actually created the dirty 80s. This yuppie era of that was a move. That was a direct chess move to undermine the the amazing accomplishments of the hippie era. So they basically slandered and ridiculed the hippie era. And people fell for it and latched onto it and thought, oh, the heck with the hippies. We want to make money. They link two things up again that are actually have nothing to do with one another. Just because someone is a hippie doesn't mean they can't make money, or just because someone makes money doesn't mean they have to be a total ruthless, like J.R. Ewing or whatever his name was in the film Dallas, Texas. I don't know if any of you have watched that. I don't know. Some people may not know about this because that was a popular TV show from the United States that was going around the whole world. Also interesting how this so quickly was translated into other languages. It's like I see it very clearly now. It's a corporate chess move. Hollywood has always been making shows and series and films and TV and movies for the corporate agenda. So every one of their shows was basically a covert commercial to promote their agenda, to promote the dirty 80s with the yuppie and with the slander of the hippies and so on. So that's what this was all made for, basically. It's very deliberate, all of these different strategies. People don't know this. I didn't know. I see this now very clearly. What they're doing. They have been doing this for a very long time, and they always think ahead. They always strategize, and they have plan A, B, C, D. They know exactly. So if this fails, and someone in the chat room came there and was only there for, I don't know, a brief exchange of comments. And he said that he has insider knowledge that the coronavirus was deliberately planted by a middleman that didn't come from Asia, that was bioengineered in the United States, brought to Wuhan, China, and planted there at the wet market to diffuse, to wash away the trail where it actually comes from, to blame it on China, on their wet market. First of all, the wet markets because that's easy to believe, because the wet markets are a host of those kind of things. They can easily create something like this can happen by itself. But you know the corporate agenda doesn't want to wait for that to happen by itself. They create and plant these things just at the time that they want this to be planted and spread and affect the public. They go so far, they will make, they don't shy away from creating a plague that makes billions of humans suffer. They don't shy away from that. If that serves their agenda, if that makes people turn against Donald Trump, they will pull that trick on us. Okay, that's how far they go. I just want you to know this, and maybe I'll get shot. I will get shot. I will get shot eventually. I know. I already knew this for a very long time. I know this energetically, that I'm going to get shot one day in the head. So I'm taking a great risk in talking about this. But yeah, I could also not make videos about this. I could also just lean back and make nice clay and putty videos, foot massage videos, talk about my sex life, my non-existent sex life, because I don't have a partner. Talk about my frustrations and all of this, my bitter Karen existence, whatever, and just blame it all on myself. And yeah, a lot of it is, we all have to take responsibility for our own stuff that's going on. I don't have a boyfriend because I just simply don't go out into public. No, no, definitely not, with this situation. But I already didn't before, because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of people. I'm afraid of men. I'm afraid of their violence. I've been beaten up by boyfriends. So, no, I'm afraid. And meeting a unicorn man. I mean, where do you meet a unicorn man? Like the guy that made the film about his architect father, for example. An amazing unicorn man. Where do I find this man? There's no way. I can't even contact him. He doesn't even have a Facebook account. So he's beyond Facebook. He's so much unicorn. There's no way you would even deal with any of this bullshit. So how do I run across his path? Probably never will, right? So if I can't find a peaceful intellectual, then what's the point in me even going out there? It's just no point in it. To pick up an aggressive, violent man who will snap at the drop of the hat, because I'll say I like this white rose, and he will go off the deep end because I said that. Because he's so fixated and traumatized. He's further traumatized himself, enraged himself even further into. And I don't know, call me privileged or whatever if I say the wrong thing. So no, I don't want drama. I really seriously don't want drama. I'm sorry if this is offensive to anyone, but this is the truth. And I am a human. I'm a parahuman. I'm a I don't know, unicorn. some people find me ugly, but I consider myself to be like an ET, someone who's very, very different. And I got my issues, and I am picky, and I love myself. I am not gonna sabotage my life anymore. So yeah, I got my issues. I got my loneliness. I got all of these things. I'm responsible for this also, and I'm not gonna blame other people for it. And I see a lot of problems in the world, and I get very angry sometimes. But then I meditate on it, and I think about what Dr. Marlo Morgan said, and I think about what the horse taught me, that we are all like that gray horse. We're all like the horses, or the squirrels, or the monkeys. We're all like we are just another species. We're living beings, okay, with a psychology, with wounds. We're wounded psychologically. The humans much more than the wild animals, much more so. They have wounded each other to the point where they have passed on their unempowerment to their children. It wasn't the other demographics that did it. The own parents passed on their hatred to their children. Do you want to continue this path? Or do you want to say it ends with me? This path of resistance and hatred ends with me now. I'm not gonna. We can do a discourse and we can talk about all of this. We can lay it all on the table. I can tell you about my psychological problems, because I'm one of very, very few people who will lay this on the table. I'm an open book, because I do this for myself and I do this for other people, because I know other people will be able to relate. If I take my shoes off, then you can do the same. Yeah, psychologically. I'm not going to take my other clothes off though. So, but symbolically, you take your socks off and you show your painted toenails to the world, psychologically. And you lay your cards on the table. You lay your hurt, your fears, your worries, and then we can have a real discussion. Then we can really get into it and say, this is how I really feel about you. This is how I really feel about these type of people. And I tell you why I feel like this, And I'm sure that there are always exceptions. I'm sure that, some of them may be very nice. But you go through life and you make your experiences with certain people. Like I said in my other video, there are men that have linked up pain with fat women. Okay, so everyone has their experiences with a specific demographic, and then we can use the word prejudice. We become prejudiced very, very, very quickly, because we make experiences. Okay. For example, I will never date another Muslim again. I've been beaten up by a Muslim man. He tried to sexually humiliate me. He um, he was he wanted to take photos of me. First went along with this. I don't know even what he did. Maybe he did something with those photos. Maybe he marketed them. There's no back in LA. I was so naive before I met Paul. I was so desperately naive when I was 30. I just wanted to make him happy. And then after that, he took those photos like of me like in a specific pose, like in this submissive pose, you know. Then I realized, then I started to question it, but it was too late. I realized, oh, he might sell these photos. Oh, he might, maybe he likes to have me submissive. Maybe it's some kind of, psychopathic characteristic in him that he wants me to be in this submissive. That's his association of femininity, for example, the woman in a submissive pose, for example, all of this I want to lay on the table so that we can all look at it, and we can dissect it. We can look at it really closely and examine it. We need to examine all of these things in the most radically honest way possible. And I think that's the only way we can ever make any progress. We need to find out, why does this guy, I'm not going to mention his name, why does this guy want, why does he have these kind of fantasies? Why does he need this? What is this all about? What does it have? What's going on in his childhood and in his life, in this monstrous religion that he grew up with in Iran? And what is it that pushes him into this direction, like away from truth, away from love? So we become cautious, and everyone who watches this video will agree with me. You cannot help but agree with me. You know deep down that what I'm telling you is the truth. But I'm also telling you that we are all like the horse, okay? We are all living beings. If you take the neurosis away, okay, under, like I said many times in the past in my videos, the most violent murderer, if you put them under full body anesthesia, they are no longer a violent murderer in that moment, right? So they're put into a vegetable state in that moment. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get across. So you take away the violence and the childhood trauma and the ideology and the ideas and their prejudices and their hate rage that they have raged themselves into for 50 years or 60 years. You take that away in the moment they are under anesthesia, this stuff is not there. Okay. It's not happening. It's not running its course through their brains in that moment. They're in a vegetable state. So then we can love them very much. There was a movie, I don't know if you are familiar with that movie, Hannibal Lecter movie, where the violent murderer becomes involved with a blind woman. So he watches his murder videos of the people he murdered, and he knows that she doesn't see it because she's blind, and he's watches it mute without sound. So he knows she doesn't see what he has done, and he can watch that right with her sitting eating popcorn next to him. So one day, but because he started to like her, because obviously there is no resistance from her towards him, so he started to love her a little bit, right? So there was still this ability in this man to, it's just a story, but it's very symbolic. And it's true for all, even for the worst murderer, I think. Just like the horse who wants to nip on me, and I give this unconditional love to him. And in that moment, he feels this unconditional love regardless of his pushiness or entitlement. He suddenly realizes, she loves me. And he relaxes, and the same with the murderer, with the blind woman. So he takes her to a tiger. She has always been wanting to touch a tiger, a live tiger, but she's afraid. So one day he takes her over. He knew about someone who was, they had to do an operation on a tiger, that I guess exotic animal, veterinarian situation, zoo or whatever. It's all unethical, by the way. So, but anyway, in that film, he takes her over while the tiger is already under full body anesthesia, and he leads her up to him and lets her pet the tiger while he's under anesthesia. And it was such a magical, amazing moment for her. So you see, you know, the tiger, if he's not under anesthesia, if he doesn't know that woman, he would not let her pet him. You know, he would be snarling and growling at her, and might even hit her and kill her. So the same with a murderer. You know, if he's under anesthesia, we can love his body cells, okay? Your body cells, baby, you know, they're precious. You don't even know it. And that's my message to all of these people out there. That whoever you are, you know, your body cells. Give yourself foot massages. Make video. Talk about this stuff. I really, really, really urge you to do this. This can save the whole world if you do this. You have to love your body. You have to love. I love your body. Okay, I send your body love with my hands. Okay, I love your body. I love your cells. No matter what people have done, your body cells are innocent. Even your brain cells are innocent. You know. So anyone who's done something horrible, they were not in the right mental state. Okay. And we can heal this pain. We can heal it. We can heal pain. We can heal emotional pain. It's possible. So let's do it. Okay? Let's get on the path. And to get on that path, you have to make the conscious decision to never ever, never ever, never ever hurt another living being again. Never hurt an animal again. Never even hurt an insect. I've talked to violent people. I've talked to them because I wanted to know what's going on in their brains. They do violence out of unempowerment feelings. Okay. They told me they feel like a lion if they can hurt someone's feelings or hurt another being. Okay, it's out of unempowerment. That's the lowest energetic vibration there is. Okay. But you can come out of this. Okay, you can come out of this. You can make that conscious decision to say, as just this one guy from Wisconsin told me, when I told him, he started to get into New Age and those kind of things, and I encouraged him with this, because even though there's a lot of bullshit going on out there, but it's better than nothing. Better than nothing to get into that and listen to everyone as much as you can. It's better than staying on the destructive path. And then eventually find the right people, and don't just take one as a guru. Listen to every single person, what they have to say, and let your heart guide you. You know, the person who promotes peace and love, stick with that. Stick with those people, not just one. Stick with all of them. Teal Swan, you know, Mooji is amazing, Gangaji, Jiddu Krishnamurti, of course, you know, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, Pema Children. There are so many people out there. Tony Robbins, Eckhart Tolle. There are so many people that are all talking about this mental state of going within yourselves. You know, that's the only path, that's our only chance we have at all. We have no other chance. Okay? Everyone is responsible in going onto that path. Okay? You guys take care. Bye bye.